I remember the way he looked at me, like I was dirt under his shoe. We were in that glass conference room where promotions are dangled and lives are quietly destroyed. The CFO was silent. My manager stared straight ahead. And my boss? Smirking. "I think it's time you move on, Aaron," he said. No explanation, no warning, just a smile. Before we dive in, where are you listening from? And what time is it for you right now? Drop a comment below. I read everyone. Help us reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the month. I made a promise to my dog. Once we hit 10K, I'll buy him a brand new cooling mat. He's counting on you, and so am I. So if you enjoyed the story, please hit that subscribe button. My name is Aaron Vega. I'm 33, relentlessly curious, and I built my career by fixing broken systems no one else dared to touch, until I discovered something I was never supposed to see. It started with a spreadsheet, I know. Anticlimactic, right? But when you work in operations at a mid-sized SaaS firm, spreadsheets are like Rosetta Stones. They speak. They reveal things most people are too lazy or too scared to notice. One night in April, I was in the office past 9. Again. Everyone else was gone. I was digging through monthly revenue reports, prepping for a leadership QBR, when I noticed a misalignment in billed hours for one of our enterprise clients. At first, I thought it was a formatting error. But the deeper I went, the worse it got. We had overbilled them. By a lot. I cross-checked records, invoices, CRM notes. The discrepancy wasn't minor. It was over $2.3 million, siphoned over 18 months. Not fraud exactly, but definitely cooked books. A ghost account had been duplicating line items, and someone had been manually approving the false entries. I felt my stomach clench. The client? Titan Core Systems, our largest account. The kind of client whose departure would crater our fourth quarter projections. I couldn't sleep that night. My girlfriend asked if I was okay. I lied. The next morning, I printed everything out, hard evidence, timestamps, approval trails, and brought it to my direct manager, Sam. Sam was the guy who trained me. Steady, quiet, not ambitious, not political, just solid. He flipped through the folder slowly, his eyes narrowing. "Jesus," he whispered. "Do you know who's been approving these?" I nodded. "Yeah, it's in there. Page 9. He turned it. Froze. It was James Aldridge, our VP, my boss. By noon, the info had reached James. By 1 p.m., I was summoned. I walked into the conference room feeling like I had done something noble, righteous. James was already seated. His cufflinks sparkled. There was a spread of croissants on the table. Sam sat 2 seats down, looking small. James didn't let me sit. "I'm going to be real with you," he said with that oily voice he used in press briefings. "You've overstepped. You've created confusion. And frankly, Aaron, I think your judgment's become unstable." I blinked. "Unstable?" "We appreciate your attention to detail, but this isn't your concern. And if you're going to throw around accusations without context, well, it's not a good fit anymore." I looked at Sam. He didn't meet my eyes. "I'm sorry," James said, leaning forward, "but this is your last day." I stood there, blood pounding in my ears. I wanted to shout. I wanted to throw that folder in his face. Instead, I just asked one question. "Does Titan Core know?" James paused, just for a flicker. "No," he said, "and they won't, unless you do something stupid." I walked out, box in hand, rage boiling. But the thing is, James didn't know what I'd already done that morning. Because before I brought the file to Sam, I made one other copy, and I sent it somewhere no one expected. I sent the email to Titan Core's senior procurement officer, at 7:08 a.m. No subject line. Just a zipped folder labeled Duplicate Billing Records, Confidential. I didn't add a message. I wanted the documents to speak for themselves. Screenshots, invoice logs, metadata trails, a few red circles highlighting the pattern. Enough to be undeniable, even to someone without a finance background. I wasn't even thinking about revenge when I sent it. I just knew I couldn't be part of that lie. After James fired me, I drove home on autopilot. I think I sat in my car for 45 minutes. My hands were shaking. I kept replaying the meeting in my head, obsessing over what I could have said. What I should have said. Then my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a text. Call me. Urgent. Christina Delgado, Titan Core. Christina. I'd only met her once, during a vendor compliance audit. She was sharp, not the kind of person who let things slide. I called. She picked up immediately. Aaron Vega? Speaking. There was a long pause. Then, tell me what I'm looking at. I took a breath. Everything in that folder is pulled from your account records on our system. It's accurate, and it's not a mistake. Her tone changed, colder, professional. Who else knows? My direct manager, possibly the CFO. But James, our VP, is the one who's been approving it. You were fired this morning? Less than an hour ago. She cursed under her breath. Okay, do not contact anyone else. I'll handle it from here. Click. Just like that, the line went dead. I was still reeling from the whole thing when my girlfriend Layla walked in. She took one look at me and said, "Who died?" I think I just blew up my life, I said. She sat down beside me. Tell me everything. I did. I expected her to panic or get angry. Instead, she just nodded. You did the right thing, she said quietly, even if no one else sees it yet. I didn't realize how much I needed those words until she said them. But as it turns out, someone else did see it. And not just Christina. Because the next day, my name was trending on an internal Slack channel at Titan Core. Apparently, a fire had started. By Monday morning, it was a 5-alarm blaze. And by Tuesday, James Aldridge's name was no longer on the company directory. But here's where it gets wild. He didn't go quietly. In fact, his next move nearly ruined me. When someone powerful falls, they don't just crash, they claw. I found that out the hard way. By Tuesday, word had spread inside Titan Core. Their legal team was involved. Multiple billing cycles were frozen. I started getting cryptic LinkedIn messages from employees I barely knew. Things like, "Dude, what did you do?" and "Your name's all over ops." It felt surreal. For about 5 minutes, I let myself hope. Then came the smear campaign. Wednesday morning, I woke up to 3 voicemails. One from a recruiter I'd been working with, one from a former colleague, and one from my old college roommate who'd seen something on Twitter. All saying the same thing. Bro, you need to see this. James had flipped the script. He was claiming I fabricated the data, that I was a disgruntled employee who tried to extort the company after being passed up for promotion. He said I'd been struggling mentally and had a history of volatile behavior. He even hinted at substance issues. None of it was true. But it didn't matter. He didn't need to prove it. He just needed to muddy the water. I was furious and terrified, because suddenly, job leads started drying up. Calls went cold. One recruiter emailed me a single sentence. "Aaron, we've decided not to move forward. Concerns were raised, re-professional conduct." That one hit hard. I paced my apartment for hours, gripping my phone like it might bite me. I wanted to scream, to sue, to go nuclear, but I didn't. Instead, I did something else. I called Kenny. Kenny Chen was my old analyst and one of the smartest people I'd ever worked with. I mentored him out of college. He left our company a year ago to join a boutique consulting firm that specialized in forensic auditing. The same firm that, ironically, Titan Core had just hired to investigate their own books. He answered on the first ring. "Hey, Vega." "Kenny, please tell me you're staffed on the Titan Core review." Pause. "You're the whistleblower, aren't you?" "I am. And James Aldridge is trying to bury me." Kenny exhaled hard. "You need to come in." "What?" "Bring your files. Everything. I'll set up a back channel. I can't promise anything official. But if the partners see what I've seen, you'll have more than just redemption. You'll have leverage." So I did. Thursday morning, I walked into a high-rise downtown with nothing but a backpack and a flash drive. By noon, I was in a glass room across from 3 senior auditors, walking them through the fraud step by step. Every duplicate invoice, every approval signature, every data point I'd preserved, scrubbed, time-stamped, and undeniable. When I finished, one of them said, "Jesus Christ." But here's the twist. One of those senior auditors used to work directly under James Aldridge, and she'd been waiting years for something like this. That's when I realized I wasn't the first person James tried to ruin. Her name was Michelle Arnett, and the moment I showed her the approval chains, her face went cold. Not confused cold, remembering cold. She tapped her pen on the folder. "Aldridge did this in 2017, she said. "Different company. Same playbook." Kenny looked up. "Wait, what?" Michelle nodded slowly. Back at Brandwell Capital, he manipulated client performance reports before an acquisition, made the margins look tighter than they were. Anyone who noticed either got silenced or suddenly became unstable. I leaned forward. "You tried to report him?" "I did." Her voice was sharp. "And I got labeled emotional and difficult to manage. Lost 2 years of my career cleaning up the reputation he tarnished." So there it was. The pattern. The same damn pattern. Michelle wasn't just an auditor. She was a survivor, just like me. And unlike Titan Core or my old firm, she believed me. "Look," she said, folding her hands, "we can't undo the smear overnight. But if what you've shown us holds up, and I think it will, we'll be submitting this as part of the formal audit report to Titan Core's board. Their legal counsel already flagged inconsistencies, and they're hunting for heads to roll." Kenny leaned in. "And if we attach your name to this as the discoverer," Michelle finished for him, "you might be able to write your own ticket, Vega." That night, I couldn't sleep again. But it wasn't fear this time. It was something new. Relief, like the first breath after being held underwater. The next morning, I woke up to 2 missed calls, both from blocked numbers. Then a third, which I answered without thinking. "Aaron, James Aldridge, we need to talk." Just hearing his voice made my skin crawl. "I don't think we do," I said, flat. "You've made your point," he said, low and slick. "But you've gone too far. This can still be cleaned up. I can help you if you're smart." He was trying to act like we were in this together now, like I was just another player in a dirty game. "I'm not interested," I said. "Enjoy your early retirement." There was a beat of silence. "You think they'll protect you? They won't. You're a disposable name on a spreadsheet." "No," I said. "I'm the guy who backed up everything." I hung up. Later that day, Michelle sent me a draft of the audit findings. It was damning. Names named, data footnoted, recommendations for legal recourse and process overhauls. and one line at the bottom. Initial fraud discovery credited to Aaron Vega, former operations specialist at Core Align. It wasn't revenge. It was vindication. But it wasn't over yet. Because a week later, I got an invitation, not from a recruiter or a lawyer or a former co-worker. It was from Titan Core's CEO, and he didn't want to apologize. He wanted to offer me something I never saw coming. The email came at 6:17 a.m., subject line, private invitation, let's talk. I opened it 3 times before I actually read it. You ever get a message so unexpected, you assume it's spam just because it shouldn't exist? It was real. Signed, Daniel Reese, CEO of Titan Core Systems. Short, Director. Polished. Aaron, I've read the audit summary. I'd like to speak with you directly. No lawyers, no PR, just us. Let me know when you're available. Layla was sitting across the table from me, scrolling on her phone. You okay? She asked. I think I just got an email from a Fortune 500 CEO. Her eyebrows shot up. Is he suing you or thanking you? I guess we're about to find out. I met Daniel Reese in a private conference suite at the Grand Belmont downtown. Nothing flashy. No assistants. He stood when I walked in and offered a firm handshake. Tall, crisp gray suit, calm eyes. He looked like the kind of man who didn't raise his voice, not because he didn't feel anger, but because he didn't need to. We sat. I owe you an apology, he said without preamble, and more than that, an explanation. I stayed quiet, let him talk. Your company put our reputation at risk. What you exposed, it wasn't just theft, it was corrosion. Quiet, calculated rot. He paused, folding his hands. I also know you've taken a hit. Personally, professionally. I reviewed the character smear, and I've already sent a cease and desist to your former employer. That jolted me. You what? James Aldridge's attempt to discredit you failed. We've retained evidence of his retaliatory behavior. Our lawyers have documented it. His severance package has been revoked, and he's officially barred from consulting with any Titan Core-affiliated organization for the next 10 years. I sat there, stunned. But then he leaned forward. Here's why I asked you here, Aaron. He slid a folder across the table. I opened it. Inside, a job offer. Director of Operational Integrity, Titan Core Systems. Salary, more than I'd ever earned. Benefits, Platinum Tier. Reporting line, directly to the CEO. I looked up at him. Why me? He shrugged lightly. Because you didn't play the game. You told the truth, even when it cost you everything. That's rare. And because, frankly, I don't trust anyone else right now. I didn't say yes immediately. I told him I needed to think about it. And I did, for 3 days. I talked to Layla, to Kenny, even to Michelle, and I kept coming back to the same feeling. This wasn't just a job. It was poetic justice. On Monday morning, I signed the contract. 3 hours later, I walked into Titan Core HQ wearing a new blazer, a clean shave, and the fire of a man who lost everything and clawed it back with truth. But the best part? That wasn't the end, because just 2 weeks into the new role, while reviewing internal audits, I found something buried deep in a legacy system. Another set of anomalies. Different department, different scheme, same signature. And this time the cover-up went all the way to the top. I didn't go looking for it. It found me. Second week on the job, I was reviewing legacy systems from an old division Titan Core acquired years ago. The migration had been sloppy. Overlapping databases, forgotten access logs, internal silos that hadn't been touched since the merger. Buried inside an archived vendor queue was a batch of flagged invoices. Low-dollar amounts, routine vendor names, easy to miss. But the pattern, It was too familiar. I pulled the metadata. Same ghost approver override James had used. Same timestamp injection trick. Except these records went back 3 years before I even joined Coraline. And this time, it wasn't James. It was someone higher, the CFO. Her digital fingerprint was all over it, coded as routine adjustments or bulk reclassifications across multiple shell vendors. A quiet siphon of funds, month after month, totaling over $4.7 million. I froze. This was it. A second scandal. Deeper, older, better hidden. I didn't sleep that night, didn't tell Layla, didn't call Kenny. I needed to be sure. So I rebuilt the ledger line by line, created a mirror model to simulate where the money flowed. Every trail led to a dummy holding company, tied to a trust registered in, you guessed it, Delaware. The CFO's name wasn't on it directly, but her husband's was. I brought it to Daniel Reese the next morning. We sat in the same quiet room, but this time the air was heavier. He reviewed the folder silently for 15 minutes. Then he looked up, and for the first time, the calm CEO mask cracked. This ends today. The fallout was brutal, swift, precise. By end of week, the CFO was terminated and indicted on fraud charges. Titan Corp issued a full public statement acknowledging the breach. They appointed an external ethics board, with me as one of the founding members. The board's first act? Launching a full internal overhaul across every department James and the CFO had touched. A month later, I stood in front of the company at an all-hands meeting. Me, the guy who'd been fired, smeared, erased. Now, Director of Operational Integrity, holding the mic. I was told once that I was disposable, I said. Turns out truth isn't. They gave me a standing ovation. I still have days when I wake up and feel like I'm back in that parking lot, cold, humiliated, lost. Trauma doesn't vanish, but purpose gives it direction. I didn't just get justice. I helped change the system that tried to break me. All because, in a moment of fear and fury, I sent a folder without a subject line, and believed I still mattered.